Good evening, everyone. It is Thursday, June 10th. This is Legit Fantasy Basketball from Legit Fantasy Sports. It's Genius Kev. We are going to cover the second round series that are all going on in the NBA. So four series going on, 2 games tonight, and the rest of the games from tomorrow on through the weekend. So to help me do all this, as always, Coach TJ will be joining me. Coach, how's it going today?
Kev, it was a great day. It was a great day. I'm excited to be here. Do you hear an echo when I talk? I hear an echo.
Well, a little bit, but it's not bad. So why was it a great day? You can't leave it at that. Why was it a great day?
Which is just how you ever have one of those days at work where everything falls into place. It was one of those. It was good. It was
that's awesome.
Day. My kid broke a board at karate. All the important things happened to us. So.
That's what made it a great day. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a great day.
I have not had one of those days at work in a little while, so that's why I'm going on vacation next week. So sometimes you got to do it that way.
Amen.
Yeah, but so Coach, I had a couple of good intro stuff that I wanted to rile up the Lepre boys with, but we don't have either one tonight, so we'll hold it. We'll see if they join. But in the meantime, we're gonna have to get right down to brass tacks right off the bat here because Brooklyn is in Milwaukee, and Brooklyn dominated them in Brooklyn. They won 115-107 after James Harden got knocked out in the first minute. At that point, I bet Milwaukee during the game, figuring they could take advantage of that. Nope, didn't happen. And then game 2, it got even worse. I guess knowing they weren't going to have Harden, they won 125-86. So Milwaukee offense looks like it's in shambles. Milwaukee role players did nothing in Brooklyn. KD looks unstoppable. Blake Griffin is having good games. He's averaging a double-double over the first 2. Everything's breaking Brooklyn's way. So what did you see during those first 2 games?
Total domination. And I was surprised because we had talked about, I think everybody had talked about how this was the series probably most people were looking forward to the most. And you kind of went into it thinking that every game is going to be down to the wire. Because Milwaukee is such a good team. There's so much talent on both sides of the floor. And then Brooklyn just comes out and steamrolls. Like, they weren't even enjoyable second halves to watch. And just as a fan, I look forward to, this is the series. I mean, I'm a Sixers fan. It's well documented. But I'm looking forward to these damn games. And, I want to see games that come down to the last 5 minutes where I'm not even inclined to, shut my eyes. And this series, it just looks like they have no match. Kevin Durant is absolutely unguardable. Yeah. So it's everything he does. It's like there's no defender with Durant because he's so tall that when a guard is on him, when he decides he's going to stop and shoot, there's really absolutely nothing you can do about it. He's going to stop and shoot, and that's it.
Remember, he had a torn Achilles? It's a distant memory. Yeah.
He doesn't even need to be explosive. He's just that good.
Yeah, it is amazing. And you know what? Speaking of tall players that are unstoppable, that are just that good, I don't have one of those, but I do have King Michael. How's it going, King?
You know what? I was a tall center. I played center. I played point guard. Yeah, that's all I got to say. I was okay. I was pretty good basketball. Kev, look, I'm in a white T-shirt now for you, right?
Nice.
I had to go deal with my son, who's 17 and just 17 and cranky. And, things are good. What are we talking about? Basketball?
So, hold on a second. Before we get there, you're cranky. Your son was cranky. How did your wife deal with all that? That's what I want to hear first.
My wife was the one that was fighting. I was the one trying to mediate. They were arguing. Me, man.
Did you? All right, good. Well,
that's the blackjack dealer leaving the table. I'm out. I'm good.
Come on, just go 3rd floor, lock the door. All right, so basketball it is. You know, it's second show on Thursday night. I got a big story I want to talk to you about, but in the interest of not breaking up the flow, we're talking about Brooklyn, Milwaukee. So first 2 games in Brooklyn dominates up 2-0 without Harden. We've been talking about KD, just how unstoppable he is, right now. So what are your thoughts on those first 2 games and, just that series in general?
The Nets are going to go right through them. They're just going to go right through them. And that's just, like I said, we said it last couple of shows, seeing Harden play as a team player made me sick because it made me realize they're going to win this. Like, they want to go to the final. They're taking this serious. So even without him, they're just too talented. Like basketball is the only sport you can have three really great guys and just dominate.
Yeah, it's nuts. And the fact that Harden got knocked out in that first minute and they still won by 18 in game one. And then game two, you figure Milwaukee's going to make some kind of adjustments. Well, they did, and they lost by 29.
And if I'm coaching Milwaukee and Harden goes down, I'm approaching game two like that's a game I've got to get.
Yeah.
Like, all right, so game one, we weren't prepared for no Harden. It's a weird. Okay, we lost game one on the road. That happens all the time. Almost everybody lost game one on the road. That's fine. But going into game two with no Harden, I get a day to prepare for two guys now, and we still come out and play like total garbage. That's demoralizing. Like, that's the game you've got to get if you want to win this series, and they didn't even show up for it. Shocking.
So, Coach, as a coach, you'll probably help me with this. So, some of the rumblings that I've heard is like Coach Bud, hot seat, and one of the reasons why they said he's really good at teaching one type of defense, I guess the drop zone they play, the drop defense they play, but in the playoffs they can't switch it up. So do you see the same thing? And what should, like, when someone says they don't switch it up, what should they be switching to? And can't, like, do you agree with that argument, or is that just BS?
No, I think it's all garbage, because even when you play zone in the NBA, it has so many man principles because of the illegal defense rule that they're still not playing a natural zone. Here's what it is. Those three guys are ridiculous. There's no defensive matchup that's going to keep you from – I guess you could double more. Okay, you really want to double when you play Brooklyn, though? Like, you want to double Durant, and then you're just going to get ripped apart in the back end because there's guys there. They have shooters. If you start doubling or trapping Kyrie and Durant, Joe Harris will just light you up. Like, that team is perfectly designed with role players to go along with the stars. I can understand the frustration in Milwaukee. They've been a top team. It's almost like how Toronto had to fire their coach after they had a number of 1 seeds and kept getting trounced in the playoffs. I can see why he's on the hot seat, and probably justifiably so. But to blame their defensive scheme for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving being like the two of the top 5 players in the league, I think, to me, it's unfair.
All right. Okay. All right. I can't argue that. I like that. I like that logic. Now, the other question I was going to ask is, okay, you're Milwaukee. It's game 3. You got blown out twice in Brooklyn. What do you do differently? I know they went with the same starting lineup, but what do you do differently? King, you want to go first?
Yeah, I come out and I hit somebody. I come out and I sacrifice somebody. I just hit him as hard as I can. I don't care. I'm being serious. One of the better players. Just hit him as hard as I can. And
Kyrie?
Let the dice, let everything fall after that. I'm being serious. Like, what other chance you got? Rough them up. You might be able to break their brittle spirits. They do have brittle spirits.
Yeah. All right, Coach. What are your thoughts? So, game 3, your Coach Bud.
Well, I'll tell you, that's the best idea of all right there, is what King Mike just said. I'm not watching the game because I'm down here with you guys, but they're winning on the glass right now. It looks like there's a big discrepancy in rebounds right now in the box score. Maybe they are coming out more physical, but I like what King Mike said. Come on, if you want to fight, like, if you got to come out and make it a fight, like, you got to knock Kyrie on his ass. You really do. You're going to make him run off a pick and roll and take a foul, take a flagrant. That's how they did this stuff in the 80s, and that's how they did this shit in the 90s. Why you pussyfoot around with these guys? One thing about Kyrie and Durant, those are finesse players.
Yep.
Like, and I'm not saying come out there with the intent to hurt somebody, but maybe you make him think twice about leaving the ground for his floater if he falls on his ass one time when he takes a 12-foot floater. I don't know. You got to do something to send a message that we're not going away, because obviously you drop tonight's game, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
But the mindset going in, I mean, it's got to be a mindset of like desperation. So whatever we can do, whatever edge we can get, whether that's in their head or putting somebody in foul trouble by attacking someone, you got to go for it all.
I agree. Like, yeah, if I would go after Kyrie, I technically might go after him, put somebody on him to really, really aggravate him. See if I can get him out of the game. You know what I mean?
Like,
see if I can
pick up some fouls, bang him, bump him, like, just don't let him do anything easy. Yeah. You guys are probably right because they got to do something to disrupt it. But the other thing that's strange about it is Milwaukee can't score either. They put up 107 and 86, so their offense is having problems too. Like it's like they got everything. Everything was going wrong in those games. Now, right now it's see Brooklyn's coming back. Milwaukee was up 31-11. 30-11 at the end of the first. Right now it's 32-26. Brooklyn's on a 15-2 run to start second quarter. Now, when we first started the show, so in interest of full disclosure, since we do every once in a while we talk about a bet here and there on the show, I bet Brooklyn plus 3.5. I bet the game total over 233.5. But when Coach TJ and I first started the show, I could have gotten Brooklyn plus 19.5, but I couldn't get the bet in. The line started changing. You know, we're professionals here. We don't bet during the show, or at least not all the time. But anyway, could have gotten plus 19.5. It's a 6-point game now, so we might have something to watch when we wrap up here. Okay, so that's Brooklyn, Milwaukee. So the next series going into Game 2 tonight is Utah and the Clippers. Now Utah won the first game 112-109. Clippers had a big lead at the half. They were up 60-47. It was tied after 3. Lost lost in the end by 3. Gobert blocked a shot, corner 3 at the buzzer to kind of give Utah that win. Now I was very high on Milwaukee for this series, very very high. I'm glad I didn't bet them to win the whole West because after this game, I'm starting to have doubts. Utah missed 20 consecutive shots, still won. Conley's out again. Mitchell had a phenomenal game. The Clippers used 13 players in all kinds of different rotations, so they're still figuring this thing out. So I'm inclined to switch my lean on this series over to the Clippers. King Michael, what do you think about that first game? What do you think about tonight's game? And what do you think about the series?
I don't know why you would go with the Clippers. I don't know what's making you think that. Like, this team is just doing what it does. We're just sleeping on them again. They're just doing what they do, and they're just going to keep doing what they do. Like, you got to figure out what they're doing. Like, you got to play counterpuncher to this team. The Jazz just keep doing what they're doing and winning. And the Clippers do not have a team right now that's going to beat them. So I don't know why you would flip the bet, Kev. To me, it looks like the Jazz. Like, what did they do wrong? They won.
Oh, they won by 3, and Kawhi didn't have a great game. Paul George didn't have a great game. They're still figuring out rotations. So that's why I'm kind of thinking maybe there's more to the Clippers, than we think. I wasn't impressed that it took them 7 games to dispatch Dallas, but I'm open to a position on this. So, Coach, what do you think about that first game? What do you think about the game tonight and the series?
I think it's weird that the Clippers are messing around with different guys at this stage in the season.
Yeah.
Like, why DeMarcus Cousins is either on your team or he's not. From my understanding, you're not on the team. Like, you're just there to hang out, clap, and throw some Gatorades down. And you're coming out there trying to get minutes. I know Gobert's on the other side, but yeah, I get the idea. Like, Kawhi had a terrible night. Really, I thought Kawhi had a terrible night. But this is the Clippers, though, because they can come out and win the next one. They definitely can come out and win the next one. I think Utah left a lot on the table. I think they don't usually shoot that badly. I mean, Ingles was 1 for 8. He never goes 1 for 8. And Jordan Clarkson, somebody's got to tell me why Jordan Clarkson thinks he can take 20 shots in a basketball game. I've yet to see him do anything that deserves that right. But then on the other side, you look on the other side and you got the Morris twin who has never passed the ball in his entire career. He's a black hole of all black holes. And he shot like 1 for 10 from 3. So as much as it was a close game, which it's cool to watch a close game, it wasn't really a well-played game by either team. I still think Utah wins the series. But you're right. They did not impress. But then don't forget, in the first round, they didn't impress in the first game of their series with Memphis either. So maybe there's something to be said for them to find the adjustments they need to make to get that machine rolling. So I can see it going either way in Game 2. Overall in the series, I'm still with the Jazz.
All right, interesting. And what do you think? Has your opinion of Mitchell, either one of you, has his stock gone up even further? I know we've talked about him throughout the season as like the all-star, superstar, whatever you want to say, who doesn't get the press, doesn't do anything. He dropped 45 in Game 1, had a phenomenal game. Basically, he kind of willed the Jazz to that win. Did that, King Michael? What is your opinion on Donovan Mitchell?
I mean, I love anybody who produces. Like I just do. Like I like the credit where credit is due. So the kid's playing really well in the playoffs. That's huge. That's huge for his growth. That's huge for him, right? I like Donovan Mitchell. I think he's going to be put on a team with like a rebounder and then like maybe like another 3-point shooter, and he would be really good. And I think the kid's going to be a star. How about that? I think he's going to be like a big name. He's one of that class of him, the Trae Youngs. I can name a couple other guys that are like that. Young, and they get open and they get shots off. This is the new NBA. That's the new NBA coming. You can see the wave. Like I can see the wave out the shore coming in, and he's on that one.
This is 2 weeks in a row where you wanted to take the best player in a small market team and put him somewhere cooler. Last week you had Ja going to the coast, and now we got Mitchell going to the coast. I don't know. I like Mitchell a lot. I like his game a lot. I don't like how Kendrick Perkins is today on ESPN said he was Dwayne Wade.
Coach, you could have stopped that. I didn't like the fact that Kendrick Perkins was on ESPN. You could have stopped there. You didn't have to say why.
He's so bad. Really, he is so bad. Hey, bless his heart. I'm sure he's making 6 figures to sit there and talk about basketball. Good for him. Yeah. Don't knock anybody for making a living, but he brings nothing to the table. And when you come out this morning talking about Donovan Mitchell is Dwayne Wade, you got to be seriously out of your mind to think that. But with Mitchell, it's curious because he missed a lot of games. Like this, Utah isn't a team where one guy scores 45 points. Yeah. So that's not the natural way that they've been playing, but it's good to see that he can take over the game. I mean, they go to the finals. He's going to become a household name real quick. And then hopefully he signs a max deal and stays in Utah.
Yeah. All right. So
Kendrick Perkins, Kev, first of all, you should be an NBA player that we want to see. Like, oh, they go, what's his name to be an announcer? No one's ever said that about Perkins. Secondly, I'm being honest. Secondly, you should know how to speak. Like, speak so that people can understand you on the first go. Like, I don't have to rewind you to keep understanding what you're trying to say, right? That's 2. 3, honestly, if I'm being honest, Kev, who the fuck cares about Kendrick Perkins and the fact that he keeps bringing up Big Baby? Like, I don't want to talk about Big Baby anymore. I'm done with that guy. How the frig does he pop in the conversation? So Kendrick Perkins is just talking about stuff that he knows about, like that he knows. Like, and what is it about Kendrick Perkins?
And listen, while we're on announcers, real quick, Vince Carter's trying to do play-by-play. That's not going to work out, folks. It's not. And I love Vince. No, seriously, I really love Vince Carter. I'll be at Springfield when he gets inducted, but they've got to be able to. I want NBA guys doing NBA analysis, but can any of these guys be good at it? Like, really, someone be good at it that's not Tim Legler, because I'm tired of his spiel too. And Perk today with that Dwayne Wade stuff, that's crossing a boundary, my friend. That is a boundary.
I hope Vince Carter figures it out because he's just absolutely phenomenal. Like I'm a big Vince Carter fan also.
Keep up with the game. I don't know. No offense, he can't keep up with the game. He's not a guy. He definitely would never do improv. Like he's not that kind of guy. He can't keep up with what's going on.
You're so right. But you know what he can? It's almost like they need a 3-man crew for some of these NBA guys, right? So they need a play-by-play guy, a color guy, and then you need Vince Carter to tell me something I don't know because he knows everything. And he sees things that regular fans will never even understand unless someone like Vince Carter says it. But when you want him to do a quick color thing in the middle of a transition, and he's just babbling about it's not natural for him, right? So they almost need a 3-man booth. I'm not even joking.
I like 3-man booths.
I love the 3-man booth. If that third guy is going to be an next player that's bringing some real knowledge to the table for people who are nerds like me.
Yeah. So I hope he can somehow get quicker, but that usually doesn't happen, especially at the advanced age of almost our age, Mike. Vince Carter is probably almost as old as us. So if you're not quick by now, you're probably never going to be quick. Last thing about that series, as it's gone so far, I brought it up and Coach brought it up. What is Tyronn Lue doing about the rotations? Like, why did 13 players play? Why is he doing all kind of crazy stuff? Is he a genius and he's really just ready to adapt on the fly and figure it all out? Or is he way behind and he should have already had it figured out? King?
Why is Tyronn Lue a coach? No, I'm like really honest. I'll cut it right to that. Because think about it for a second. Why? because LeBron just threw him in that spot to win the championship? Like what? Like why is he a coach?
I think the reason he's a coach, I feel like he's probably a pushover, like a straight up pushover.
Yep.
Because he's the kind of coach, like Kawhi and Paul George picked their coach. Like the ownership group didn't have a team meeting. The team meeting was they had a group text with Kawhi and Paul George and said, who do you want to coach? And they were like, Ty's not going to make us do shit we don't want to do. Let's bring him in. And that's the kind of job that's kind of what he does. But when you get to this point in the season, you don't have an 8-man rotation. And we can talk about Philly in a minute with their rotation because that's a different thing. But you're throwing veteran guys out there. Patrick Beverley went out there for 6 wasted minutes. It's like either he's a guy that's in your rotation or he's not. And it doesn't make a lot of sense. It didn't make a lot of sense. Oh, one thing while I'm here. The first time in my life, a player that I coached was thanked and mentioned in the Coach of the Year acceptance award. My guy, Dice Yashimoto. He's coach on the Knicks staff. And, And when Tibbs got the award, when Tibbs got the award, one of the things he did was thank Dice Yashimoto for his work as an assistant. So
wow,
I wanted to get it out there. Yeah. Dice was cool. He's like shorter than me. He was a point guard. His job would be come in and get the best player of the ball. He did it. And he's been coaching. He's been in all the big – he's been with Tibbs in Chicago. He's been in New York. Like, yeah, he's NBA lifer right now from Johnson & Wales. Go figure.
That's amazing. Wow. Congratulations to Dice Yashimura from
fantasy basketball. Yeah, he was from Japan, right? So
really?
Where's that?
Yashimura?
Yeah, Yashimoto. Yeah, he's definitely from Japan. So there were some words he couldn't say. So you would mess him up on the second unit and be like, Dice, we're going to call this play world. He couldn't say the word. And he'd be out there trying to fucking say words he couldn't say. Oh, man, we had so much fun. Great kid, great guy. He was a great coach. Great coach on the Knicks staff. Anyway, rest.
All right. Well, cool. On that note, we will wrap. What you just said is probably more than Tyronn Lue said all of the other night with that first game. All right. So
did you see the footage of Tyronn Lue when they came to the sidelines? He goes, "You guys want Gatorades?"
No, we didn't.
That's what he said. That's all I expect him to say. Hey, all right, hey, you guys need Gatorades? No.
All right. Focusing us back up. That's 2 series down, 2 to go. Next one is Suns versus Nuggets. Now, Suns are up 2 games to 0. Won very convincingly, 122-105, 123-98. They look absolutely amazing. Nothing phases them. Chris Paul, his shoulder looks like it's fine. DeAndre Ayton's doing a great job on Jokic. The Denver guards are falling apart. I don't see how Denver has any chance to pull this one off. You guys know I love Jokic, but I think their guards are too exposed, and Ayton is doing a decent enough job slowing them down, and Ayton's actually scoring on the offensive end too. So I don't see how Denver can pull this off. Coach, what do you think of the 2 games so far, and does Denver have a chance? Am I overreacting?
Yeah, I think you're overreacting a little bit. I still think Phoenix is going to win the series, but there's the home and away thing matters a lot in the NBA. It really does. And when this series goes back to Denver, I don't feel like Phoenix can go into Denver and win 2 straight. I don't feel like that's going to happen at all. It is concerning the way Michael Porter Jr. looked last night. Bad,
terrible.
Like he looks like in a men's league, he looks like a lot of us coming out of halftime, like where everything's a little bit stiff and tight. So I don't feel good about that. The kid Campazzo, I like him just because he's Italian and he's short and he's in the NBA. But is that really a championship level guard? Like you got this kid checking Chris Paul. Like, what are you doing? It's not going to work out. So I think Phoenix wins the series, but I think you'll get a better showing from Denver in Denver. And Aaron Gordon, I'm very disappointed in the way he played. It's like he caught a dunk the other night. He jumped out of the building to catch that lob last night, but he only has 6 points. Like he was scoring 20 a game in Orlando. It's not like he's garbage, and he just completely, blows a 0, which makes you wonder if he's the kind of player that's good on a bad team, like the best player on a bad team type good, or if he an actual contributor type good. And he's been exposed a little bit too. But Yeah, I still think it's Phoenix in 6.
Yeah, during the game, I just texted a couple of my friends. I was like, somebody needs to tell Campazzo to stop shooting. Like, he has to stop shooting. He was 1 for 7, 1 for 5 from 3, and he sits there with the most confident guy in the room. He misses shot after shot after shot, and you can see they're like offline as soon as he lets him go. So I don't think with him and Rivers they have a chance. But Barton came back. He played decent in like 16 minutes or something. He's on a very low minutes restriction. But if Barton can somehow jack up his minutes, I would assume that helps Denver a little bit. But is that enough?
Kev, the kid needs to keep shooting.
What?
The kid needs to keep shooting. That's if he believes in himself as a shooter, he's got to keep shooting. So I get that. You got to take him out, or he's going to keep shooting. That's what I would do. But like this whole thing, Kev, have you noticed that it's like young legs? Like if you got like a couple young stars right now in the playoffs, like they seem like they're younger and they have more energy as opposed to some of all these older guys, these mid-range guys. It seems like they don't have the same oomph. You know what I mean? Other than like the Brooklyn team with all their old big guys that could be in like the Hall of Fame now. I like the young teams, but yeah, I think Denver could probably get in trouble for maybe one game. But you're right. Like the way that they lost, I don't know. Phoenix might just sweep this up, right? I would not be shocked at all if they just swept this because it looks like, again, styles make fights. I keep saying that. It just doesn't look like this is a style that they can fight. You know what I mean? It's above them, I think.
Yeah, and the thing that also so Phoenix has that tremendous backcourt. Obviously, Paul and Booker, right? And Booker hasn't even had a crazy game yet. I don't think he's even had 20 points in a game yet, or he may have had 21. I forget, but it's like very, very reasonable scoring. Paul looks amazing. He had a great game last night. The game 2. It was last night. And like what I don't understand is Portland could not expose the Denver backcourt the way that Phoenix is. And is that like, is that I view that as an indictment on Portland. Am I reading that the wrong way, or what? What do you think about that angle, Coach?
I think Portland's offense is kind of, it's kind of like you get the ball over here, it's going to be a pick and roll with Dame, and then McCollum's going to be over there if you need him. And then next time down, we'll do the opposite thing. Phoenix has guys running all over the freaking place. Like Jay Crowder's, I didn't even know Jay Crowder had that much energy he's like running corner to corner. They ran a set for him the other day. I didn't even know where he came from. It's like he came from the freaking stands and he was standing there wide open. Chris Paul orchestrates the team. Everybody gets shots, and that's something you don't have in Portland. So it keeps you honest. Like, I think like 5-6 guys on Phoenix took double-digit shots, and in Portland, that's just not going to happen. I mean, it's going to be 2 guys that take 20 shots, and everybody else can, unless Melo decides to jack up in the second quarter. So it's extremely difficult to guard. And then you're making these guys work extra hard on the back end, too. Ayton is doing a great, great job of being a factor in the series. He's not doing Shaq stuff. He's not locking, joking up, but he's getting a double-double. He's a physical presence. You cannot question how he's doing a better job. He's such a deterrent. Campazzo's got to jack up threes because he's scared to go next to the guy. He's a monster. So, yeah, but again, when you go to Denver, now is Jay Crowder a 15-point-a-game scorer in Denver? I don't know. Is Bridges going to be a 15-point scorer in Denver? I don't know. Because things change on the road in the NBA with the role players especially. I think that's what we're going to see. Mike, you got a dip back there, bro?
Is it a brownout in your
what happened? I went to this thing and changes.
Your lights keep going out, looks like.
If I go check out the NBA.com, it's like it shuns me.
It
I don't know.
Sucks out, like somehow all the electricity gets sucked up. Jay Crowder looks like a strong safety. Like that, like he doesn't look like somebody I would ever want to run into me at any kind of high rate of speed.
He's playing with a full-out suit. Like he's wearing like the shit I wear when I go outside to shovel. That's what Jay Crowder's putting on before he goes out there to play basketball. Then he throws his jersey over it, and he's just there like running around like some dude. But I don't know what you get out of him on the road, and I think that really does matter in this kind of series. I think it's going to go 6. I do.
We used to call them Dundies.
2-point game right here, the Bucks.
Really awesome. What did you say, King?
to call those mudandis. Like make sure you put your mudandis on before you go outside. Like you never heard that word? It meant like you're.
Yes. Oh, and the thing with Ayton and Jokic, if Ayton scores 15, Jokic scores 34. It's not that bad of an exchange. It's really not that bad of an exchange. Where's Coach? There he is. No, it's not that bad of an exchange. Phoenix could live like that and win. It's when Jokic scores 37 and the other guy defending him scores like 8 that they have this monstrous advantage, and like they're not going to get that against 8. So I think Denver's in real trouble.
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, so moving on to the last series, I was hoping Brother Ray would be here for this. That's why I kind of saved it for last. Philly, Atlanta. 1-1. Atlanta won that first game, 128-124. We talked about it on the previous show because that had already happened over the weekend. Atlanta got out to a huge lead. Philly rallied all the way back. Atlanta hung on by 4. Second game, Philly pretty much handled them from start to finish, 118-102. And I have an observation and then a question. My observation number 1 is every time Ben Simmons touches the ball, I'm worried he's going to get hurt. And I don't know how, as a 76er fan, you can watch these games where every time he touches the ball, I'm worried something's going to happen. He's going to get knocked down and he's going to get hurt. And then the second thing is a question. What exactly does Ben Simmons do on offense? He's the point guard, but he comes up, he makes a short pass to somebody else, and then I think he runs into the stands or he goes to sit down or something because then you don't see him again for the rest of the possession. So, observation and a question.
He doesn't cut through. All right, go ahead.
Coach, you want to go first?
Well, I don't agree that I don't feel like he's going to get hurt. I don't. You know why? I almost can assure you that when I'm watching him, I know he's not going to get hurt. And the reason I know he's not going to get hurt is because he doesn't do anything aggressive enough to get hurt. You can't get hurt when the only time you have the ball is in the half-court area, and then you don't do shit else afterwards. Very difficult to get hurt running and dribbling with no one near you. What does he do on offense? It's tragic. I don't know. And it's frustrating because when you see him decide he wants to score and go in there, make 2 moves in a right-handed layup off the wrong foot, it looks like he could do it every single time down. That's the frustrating part. It just looks like he could do it every single time. And he obviously can't because if he could, he would, right? So there's a reason why he doesn't.
Well, I saw he made it was like one move where he dribbled around someone and then he stretched out and he's so tall and he's like 6'10", he's so long. He looked almost like a Dr. J flip up against the backboard. It missed, but I was like, that was unfreaking believable.
Yeah.
Can we have a little more of that? He shot 3.
His best role is to play that position on the block, almost on the baseline, and just be the guy that dunks when all else when the defense collapses, you dunk. Him being the guy that just makes entry passes to Embiid and then he's a screener, it's pretty much pointless. It is. It's going to be interesting because if they can win a championship with Ben Simmons at point guard, it'll shut everybody up, but it won't change the facts that he is doing absolutely nothing on offense. And it's frustrating because I see him have games where he feels like dunking 3 times in the first half, and he does. And then you see him the other night, and it's like, nah, we're good. I do want to say this, though, while I'm going to bash him before Kim White takes over. He put the clamps on Trae Young in the first quarter, and Atlanta never had a chance after that. I told you they were going to adjust, and Simmons, he is one hell of a defender. He is an outstanding defender. If we get to a series with Brooklyn, I hope they put him on Durant because I think that's somebody that Durant, he's the only person that's as long and athletic as Durant is. I think it would be interesting. Go ahead, Mike. Bash the Sixers. Go ahead.
No, just Ben Simmons is fantasy basketball poison. He's this gigantic kid that like all old guys think if we had that size, we would just go dunk every play, or I would try to dunk on every play. I would just drive. And on top of that, I would figure out a way to hit an open jumper. I would just like because I think I'd be practicing basketball a lot if I played basketball. So I would take extra time to go to the gym and learn how to shoot free throws, short jumpers. Because when you got a point guard that you can't kick it all the way back to and he can hit an open shot, What good is he? Like, being honest, he doesn't cut through. He gives a kickoff pass. You're right. He doesn't cut through. He doesn't move. So it's like he just tries to stay away from where the traffic is coming.
No,
in the thing, he's just trying to like here. Where's he aggressive?
If I'm coaching, his role is he's going to be the guy that brings the ball up in transition because he's an accurate passer as you'll ever see, and he knows what to do with the ball for the most part.
But
once we get to have, you got to go play else. You got to be away and not be the point guard. You have to go be a forward. The problem is if you have him and Embiid at the same time, only one of them can play on the block because this is 2020, and God forbid a team put both players in at the same time. Like Daryl Morey will have a stroke.
Question though, if they did do that, the Sixers, where they cleaned out the sides and they had Embiid on one side with Simmons trying to find the guy he can be a mismatch, which he could probably find a guy every night, right? If Simmons did try to do that and try to score as close as he could on every play, like hungry, it would completely change this, man. It really would. Like if he was a hungry guy who wanted to score, wanted to get his points, they'd be a different team. You can't have look, my son plays point guard. And the one thing I tell him is, you got to have that one shot that you're dependable on. Like you need to be open. When you're open, you need to drop that shot. He can't. So what can you do? Attack the basket. And he's great at it. Attack the basket. Derrick Rose, attack the basket. Just get at it. Please, kid, just help us out. If you can go to the rim, I would tell him, go ahead. Like, go ahead. Like, go. Like, he's so big, like you said. Like,
the other night, he played like. Remember when Kobe had that game when it's a finals game, I think against Boston, when he decided he wasn't going to shoot in the second half, like F you? That's how Ben Simmons plays the whole game.
No.
Look, yeah, I'm just not shooting. Look at me. I'm not going to shoot. Like, dude,
we need you.
You need something more than 4 points. I'm sorry.
So, like, what is it? Like, he touches the ball every single play. He's taken 10 shots across 2 games. You know how many he's made? 9. 9 out of 10. That's insane. And he just like 3 out of 12 free throws. Odd. But like, you're a big 76ers fan, Coach. So I assume this is like a lingering problem. Like, is it just he doesn't have the desire to be a shooter, a scorer? Like, what is it? Like, how do you fix it?
I don't even mind that he's not going to ever be a 25-point-a-game scorer. I'm over it. I'm way past it. But if you're going to play 36 minutes of an NBA game, you got to get 10 points when you have the ball every time down. Like, I appreciate so many of the little things he does. I think why the Sixers are good. If you took Ben Simmons off the Sixers and you replaced him with Kemba Walker, they're not as good as they are right now. Like, they're just not, because Simmons is bringing so much to the table in a lot of different areas. And when you watch him like 80 times a year, you start to see like, yeah, no, Ben made that go. But I don't care if you're scoring 25, but dude, you got to score 10. And the free throw thing is a real problem. Like King Mike said, if you told me all I had to do in my life is play basketball, the first thing I would do is become the greatest free throw shooter in the world, because what the hell else? This is the easiest. You don't even need anyone to help rebound for you to become a great free throw shooter. They got machines now that give you the freaking ball back. So when you're 3 for 12 from the line and you're a liability in that sense, and plus you're not scoring at all, it's frustrating. But that said, he's going to be the point guard on the finals team, so I feel good about that.
That's awesome. And the last thing I want to ask about him, like I remember when the Sixers drafted Markelle Fultz, like they were like, his jump shot is a mess. We have to fix his shot, and then I think they probably made him worse. But is Ben Simmons like he needs his shot fixed, or is it more just a desire? Like, he's got he just doesn't have the desire to shoot, but his shot is actually has good form.
Nah, it's just not going to happen. Some guys are just born bad shooters. Like, some guys just don't know where it hasn't. So you can be a bad shooter and have good form if you just don't know where the effing rib is. Like this, he doesn't hold it's right. Strange. He's like a right-handed kid that plays basketball left-handed. He's just not going to be a good shooter. But there's a lot of guys that have been really good players that aren't good shooters. Magic Johnson wasn't a good shooter. Shaq wasn't a good shooter. Moses Malone wasn't a good shooter. He's 7 feet. Like, we treat him like a point guard because he brings the ball up. There's a whole bunch of 7-footers who can't shoot that have been effective NBA players. The problem is he doesn't want to do that job either. Like, he doesn't want to go down there and get 3 post-ups a half either. So I don't think he's just one of these guys who's never going to learn how to shoot, and just got to live with it. And that's why we were hoping Fultz was going to be good, because then Simmons could play off the ball and just be explosive.
So
I saw one of these where he'd be a good fit Golden State. He'd be a good fit in Golden State.
So Kev, see how the Sixers are made up of like players that are like really emotional and temperamental, and they get injured often, and they're not quite playing up to where their role is. It's just Philadelphia in general, Kev. We had this talk about the Eagles, and now we're on the Sixers. And if you want to talk about worst franchises of all time, they come out of Philly. Philly is just a I'm sorry. On the football side, it's just garbage.
Sixers, I bet you the Sixers have the 5th most wins in NBA history. I bet you any money that they're in the top 5 all-time winning franchises.
And I'll bet you the top 4 don't even give a shit. They can care less.
I'll tell you what, the top 4 ain't playing. The top 4 aren't playing this month.
Yeah. All right. So before we move on, wrap up the Sixers, because we got to give some credit to Embiid. I mean, like I said, I just worry because of the knee injury, and like every time he falls, I'm worried he's going to get up. But he had 39 points in the first game, 40 points in the second game. He's averaging like 12.5, 13 rebounds. Phenomenal. Like his case for MVP was super strong, except he missed 21 games out of the 72. So obviously, with stats comparable to Jokic, who played all 72, they're going to give it to him. But like you have Capella on the Atlanta side, and we've spoken very highly of Capella in the past, and like that role, the rim runner, like the rim defender, and we thought he could do it. How is Embiid just tearing this up?
Who's that for?
Oh, it's not with you. You're the other Sixers fan.
Yeah, no one can guard Embiid. He's so much better than everybody else. You know why? He can make a 3. He's got that slow pump fake that he almost freezes, and then once he gets ahead of steam, he goes right to dunk. So Embiid's the best big in the game right now. If Capella can't guard him, then a Lopez isn't going to guard him. Who's going to guard him in Brooklyn? Like who? Guard him in Brooklyn. He can carry. He's so much better than everybody else as a big right now. He can really carry this team all the way to the championship. I believe it, because there's rest between games. If he doesn't do anything stupid like get hurt, Clint Capella looks totally lost. Yeah. And then you bring the double team. Do you know who led the NBA in mid-range field goal percentage? Joel Embiid. He's the best shooter between 8 and 16 feet in the whole NBA. And then he's a good foul shooter as well. So there's no one that can guard him. He gets so much space. He's taking fallaways now in the lane where he starts in the paint and he lands at the elbow. And there's nothing you can really do. It's almost Durant-like, the way he's so big and such a good shooter. And no one's going to guard him. And if they need that someone going to get 50 in Brooklyn, I bet you can get 50.
All right. So now, King, you were the last time we spoke. Both Coach and Brother Ray, who is not here, but I'll speak for him, said Atlanta does not win another game. You disputed that. Now, you saw game 2. You saw Philly handle them pretty well. You saw them beat up on Trey, shut just what everyone else down except Bogdanovich. Have you changed your mind?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's I said that the Sixers would win the series, but they're definitely not going to sweep the rest out. They're not. Kev, whatever the Sixer fans are telling you right now, they keep saying it on the back end that they're not quite sure about these guys. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I'm not 100% on Simmons. Like, you can't be. And I'm just not. I'm not sold on them yet. If they win the championship, I'll be sold on them, Kev. But right now, I'm not. So I can see them dropping another game. Why not? It's playoffs.
So you think so? If Philly wins 4-2, you will feel slightly.
Oh yeah, definitely. Without doubt. I said it wasn't gonna be in a row. That's all I said.
Yeah. All right, Coach. Do you still stand by your prediction 4-1?
Yeah, 4-1. That's it. Atlanta had. If you just take away the first quarter of game 1, it's just a blowout for the entire 2 games. It was 1 quarter, and that adjustment's been made. Trae Young doesn't want any part of Ben Simmons. This is big boy basketball now. This isn't the effing Knicks, buddy. This is big boys. So yeah, I think that's it. I'll tell you what, the kid Bogdanovich is good though, huh?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he didn't shoot great, but he just looks right doing it. Like he reminds me of Drazen Drazen Petrovic that used to play for New Jersey. Remember the guy who passed away?
Yep.
He played like him almost with that European style, and I like his game a lot. He's gonna have a nice career.
All right. King, any final thoughts from either one of you two on this series? If not, a couple of news stories I want to bring up, and then we'll get everyone out of here so you can watch the rest of the Brooklyn-Milwaukee game.
No. I got nothing.
All right, so biggest news story over the last couple of days, and I almost couldn't wait this long to bring it up. LeBron James switching his number back, 23 back to 6. In honor, right after the Space Jam movie comes out. Apparently, he wanted to switch it, I believe, last year, but the production run of the jerseys was already too far through, and I'm sure he didn't want to disrupt the Chinese manufacturers of the jerseys by having them do another run at probably 8 cents a jersey. So he probably don't want to disrupt any of that. But 23 back to 6. King, your thoughts?
Kev, you can put velvet on a pig, but it's still a pig. This is actually a pussy move.
Free throw to get a rhythm. I think the real
pussy move from going from 23 back to 6. He really is. Like he's such a baby. He's such a baby, right? Like, do you guys not get that from him? I didn't do great. It was bad. I'm going back to 6. Like, we don't care, LeBron. No one cares. That's the worst part. Like, the worst part is that this guy is convinced, and he will be for the rest of his life, that everything he does is newsworthy. You know what I mean? Everything he does. Like, we got to be like, oh, LeBron's changing his jersey. Of course he is. Of course he is. He's like one of those like girls who had a bad date and they want to get rid of the dress forever. I don't want that dress. I don't want that number. I want to be number 6. Kev, I don't like him as a person. I think he needs someone in his life to just like straighten him out. He needs a straighten me out coach. If that's possible to hire one of those guys, hire a straighten me out coach. Get like an old Italian guy to come sit and hang around with him and just tell him when he's wrong, because no one seems to want to do that. But going back to number 6, Kev, I think is a weak move. I really do. It's a weak move, and it's another move to make more money. So,
Coach, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for the people making 2 cents an hour that now have to ramp up the machine and make a bunch more jerseys for this bozo. Yeah. My thing with it is this: it's again his arrogance and his selfishness that comes through, because your team's gone. It's not about you right now. You want to change your jersey number before Space Jam? Do that shit. Like, do it before or do it later. Right now, we got 8 teams right now trying to win an NBA championship. The eyes of the basketball world should be on these games, and any airtime that's spent to massage his ego and let him say, "Look at me, I'm still the front story on ESPN because all I did was make a wardrobe change." I think it's selfish, and it's so typical that self-absorbed son of a bitch that he would make it about him. I'm surprised he didn't do it like before game 1 of the final.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I want to know? When is the first athlete going to come out and be like, I'm going to change my number every single year?
Yeah.
Every single number has a season attached to it.
That'd be phenomenal.
Why not, right? I would do that. I'd change my number every year. I'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Make all the money you can. I don't
Only
get
odd numbers, though. You got to go 1, 3, 5.
1, 3, 5, 7.
But in other two corollary stories, Anthony Davis is staying with number 3. So even though he had 23 before, he's staying with 3. So all of you that own Anthony Davis jerseys, you're still set. And then for all of you trivia buffs, LeBron's last game-worn 23 jersey went to Devin Booker, because after that game, again, after the last game when Phoenix eliminated them, he gave his jersey to Devin Booker, as still a show of he's still better than Devin Booker. So anyway, Devin Booker has the last LeBron James 23. So file that away for trivia. All right. Last question of the night. This goes to Coach. You have your resume all polished up from what I know in our conversations earlier. We got 4 coaching vacancies so far: Boston, Indiana, Portland, or Orlando. Where are you submitting your resume first?
Orlando.
All right.
Orlando, yeah. That's where I'm going. I would never go to Portland. That city's on fire. That place is not a safe place to live or to raise children. I got a couple of young kids, so Portland is out. Boston, I would not go to because I think Jason Tatum's a punk and the weather's too cold. Orlando, I feel like, is a place that you can make it a destination. Florida is a free state, which is a bonus. There's no income tax, which is a bonus. And the weather is nice, which is a bonus. I think you can get these super teams that seem to pop up. I feel like Orlando is a place where you can make one pop up. Now, who's the first guy you get? I don't know. But I feel like you're more likely to be able to build a pop-up super team like Houston, which didn't win a championship, in Orlando than anywhere else. In Indiana, it's like they're just stuck on a treadmill for like everyone's lifetime. Like they're never going to suck. They're never going to be good. They're just going to be Indiana. So that's fine. Let someone else go. It's like a stepping stone job to me. Like just go be in Indiana if you want. But to me, I think you could build something in Orlando. You can have a high draft pick, and then, I think you got to get the right coach. So, and I don't know if I'm the guy because they might not like me, but you can get stars to Florida.
Well, you have to be able to relate to the players, and you might be a little too hard. I could tell. King, your choice. What is it? Boston, Indiana, Portland, Orlando.
Yeah, I would not hesitate to take the Boston job and completely put my personality into the team. Like I really would. Like I would change the way the whole team is. I really would. I would get in like the best athletes and like bangers I could, and I would just stop my own team. But I would do it in Boston. I really would. I would bring Boston back to like prominence. I wouldn't want to go to one of those other teams. I really don't care about them. But the chance to take on the Boston job, I wouldn't hesitate. Like I really wouldn't hesitate. I'd be like, I'll be there tomorrow, and I'd be yelling at guys, getting them in shape. I would try to clear house. I would honestly want to clear house as fast as we can.
Kemba said today he's not coming back.
Oh, he already said it?
Celtics and what? Well, I don't know who said what, but they said they're going to part ways. So the rebuild is going to start. In terms of that, think about the guys that have come to Boston and didn't like it. And this is when you get a reputation as a franchise. Al Horford's a pro's pro. He couldn't deal with it. Kyrie didn't like
rebuild.
Didn't like it here. Ken doesn't like it here. Brown or Tatum, they're smart that they signed Brown to that contract because I feel like if he had a do-over, he would want to be somewhere else too. I just don't know you can bring a free agent to Boston that is anybody that's like on this trajectory. I think you're gonna have to get somebody who's on this trajectory.
What's the problem? Like, why do all these people have problems with Boston? Is it the organization? Is it the city? Is it some combination? Like, what's the problem?
Well, the city has a bad reputation, and frankly, I mean, we've been in the Northeast forever. I feel like a lot of it's not deserved. Like Boston to me, it's more of a college town than anything else. Everybody there seems to be a damn college student. When you're actually in Boston, it's really you get a million schools in that area. You got Suffolk and Simmons, BC, BU, they're all right there. But the reputation is what the reputation is, and when players are leaving, I think what they did to Isaiah Thomas, whether they were technically correct by the books and how they handled that situation, it still rubs people the wrong way, like it or not. And once you have a reputation that it's not all funny games, and plus the weather's cold as shit all winter, and I think that matters to 24-year-old millionaires. It wouldn't to me. It wouldn't to me.
Yeah.
That's why they didn't need Boston, Kev. They need my personality to help take this team over.
I think if I were you, King, I would insist on a lot of upfront money and guarantees because you're going to last about 3.5 weeks until Tatum and Brown go up to Brad Stevens and say, this guy doesn't relate to us. He doesn't understand us. He doesn't know how to relate.
I would never take the job unless I knew I had control over that situation.
I'll tell you, I heard Joey Mazzulla from Johnston is like on the short list. I'm not even joking. Really? He's been a Celtics assistant for the last couple of years.
That'd be awesome.
I was out to actually I met someone for a ginger ale, literally a ginger ale, and he said that Mazzulla was like in the short group of interview candidates.
I think you were joking. That's awesome.
They might try and keep. That tells me more than anything. As much as I like the kid, it tells me that they might be trying to keep it somebody in the coaching tree.
Yeah,
which I don't know. If that's,
so two things. One, like I hated the fact of all the stuff that Kyrie was saying. I hope I don't hear racist stuff. And I was talking to someone else about it. I'm like, I guarantee you, anything that's said in Boston is said in every other city in the country. And then I guarantee you, they hear worse things every single night on the court. I guarantee it. And I was joking about it because it has to be. We've all played basketball at some point in our lives and played pickup games, and the shit people talk to each other. There's no way what's coming out of the crowd is worse than that. Like, if that still bothers you, Kyrie and everyone else, but that reputation sticks for some silly reason. I guarantee they hear the same stuff in Oklahoma City, the same stuff in New York, the same stuff in Brooklyn, the same stuff in Oakland. You don't think so, King?
They say the same.
It's not.
I don't-
It's definitely not the same in other places. Man.
Oh.
You know what I mean, Kev? It's definitely not the same. Like Boston is definitely like, dude. It's a very grouchy, like cold weather, and they're raised. They throw racial bombs a lot. I've been to games. I'm not gonna ignore it.
And nobody else, no other cities do that. They have to.
Just that Boston's been doing it for a long time, Kev. Like really, Boston definitely has a bit of a racist time.
Here's my thing, right? When did a word become worse than like any other thing that could ever happen ever?
Yeah.
Like I heard the N-word is these guys. You act like hearing a word from some bozo that spent $30 on a ticket is the end of the world. You'd rather not hear that and like get punched in the face in the parking lot. It's like the word's gonna kill me. Like, dude, it's some idiot Sully who's a bum who's sitting up there in the nosebleed section. And I get it, it's inappropriate, but the overreaction to it is crazy. And it's definitely happening in other cities. I don't know what words are being said. I'm not up there in the Chiefs. The reputation is what the reputation is, though.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And you can't get away from it. And I think there was an incident in Utah earlier this year, and you just don't want to see these cities have that reputation because that same guy from Boston can go to a game somewhere else and say the same shit. You know what I mean? It's the individuals who's an idiot. It's not the whole geographic region. If there's one guy that's an idiot, you know what I mean? So, but the reputation carries, and these players, you know, it matters to them.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't disagree with you, either one of you. The reputation is there, but I just can't imagine it's worse anywhere else. All right, last comment on this. I heard that I forgot her name, unfortunately. The assistant coach from San Antonio was supposedly in the mix for the Celtics job. Is that window dressing or is that legit? King, any thoughts on that one, or Coach? Any thoughts on that? And then we'll wrap it up.
Wait, a girl?
Yeah, one of the San Antonio Spurs have an assistant coach as a woman, but Pop got ejected one game, put her in to coach the rest of the game. Supposedly she's a great basketball mind. You know.
Wait a minute. Are you being serious that she's being considered as a coach?
She's being that's the rumor that she's being considered as head coach for the Celtics. Coaching. What?
I don't think that's true.
It's
no, it's definitely true. So it's Becky Hammond. It's Becky Hammond.
Yeah.
Becky Hammond is like she is a basketball coach. She's not like a token. She's not like a token female for the bench. Am I allowed to say female, or do I have to say birthing people?
You could say female.
I could say female on the show. I didn't know what station. So, but Becky Hammond's legit. She's a legit candidate. It's going to come with a circus, and I feel like you don't want to involve her in your search. And you're going to hire her. You got to know you're going to hire her up front, or you can't interview her. Because if you don't, you're opening yourself up to a whole bunch of bullshit. Because her resume is growing. She's got a lot of years on Pop's bench. She's been in the game for a long time. She's well respected by everybody. Like, everybody respects Becky Hammond. I think she would do a good job, but I have a lot of fear in saying, okay, we're going to interview her, and then now if you hire anybody who's not her, it's because you're a racist, sexist, homo. And you don't want that. You don't. So she's going to get a job, though. It's inevitable. It really is inevitable.
Honestly, here's how it would go. I'd be like, so you've been on Pop's bench for how long? She'd be like, yeah. I'd be like, all right, what else have you done? Okay, great. I'd be like, well, thanks for coming. The girls' room is on the left. If you use it on your way out the door, we don't need you. We're going to get a guy coach who's going to do better. And he doesn't even have to have the resume that you have. And we're going to pay him more just because we want to. That's what I would say to her. I'd be like, and she'd be like, what? I can't believe you. I'm going to put. I'd be like, yeah. All right, goodbye. No way.
You might as well end with and would you mind grabbing me a coffee on the way out?
One sugar, no cream. Get out. Like, no, I don't want them going to the kitchen. I don't want to have to get the blowback of like,
all right, King.
Being like, on the bench, he called me a bitch, and I didn't know what to do, and so I stopped coaching. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hear any of this crap. Please, guys, don't let it in. Don't let it in.
Imagine what's going to be coming out of that cheap seats for her when she comes out of the tunnel. But I'll tell you what, Becky Hammond is going to be an NBA coach. That's inevitable.
Yeah.
I just hope whatever team does it, you got to go and saying, okay, we want Becky Hammond, and you almost don't want to put her in a pool of guys because I think you're asking for blowback if you select some retread or some Steve Nash type who has no coaching experience.
Yep. No,
your coaching resume is better than his, for God's sake.
I take that first. If you hire that girl, you better buy Globetrotter uniforms.
Oh God! All right.
It's a joke.
All right, okay. So you're gonna get a censored. The whole thing on her is she's everything about her qualifications, her criteria. She hits it all, and like Coach said, she is gonna get a job. I was just curious if
she doesn't hit it all. You're wrong.
Anyway,
you're wrong.
All right,
sorry, you're wrong, Kev. She does not hit it all.
We're gonna wrap it up here. I guess I probably should.
Box, Kevin. It's wrong, Kev.
What?
It says sex and male or female. The minute she clicks the female, it should be fed into the machine with the pencil dots and shot out the back and send her home. I don't even know why we're talking about the prospect. Is the basketball playoffs that bad? Will we end the show talking about the prospects of a female coach? Have you seen them play basketball? Have you watched the WNBA? It's awful. There's female coaches there. It's all slop. Kev, let them stay in the kitchen, barefoot, pregnant, and doing what they need to do.
All right. The good thing is at least you have your real name up this time, not the face that runs the place or any other bullshit. So if anyone's going to comment about any of that stuff, that is the official position of King Michael. It is not the official position of the Genius or Coach TJ. And the lawyer will give you the number for the law offices for legit fantasy sports, because I'm not taking the fall for this one. King, thank you for your commentary as usual.
We actually have a lawyer on retainer. Hold on, it's a female, so that should probably help us in the case, which is not really true, Kev, because we would never hire a female. Go ahead.
Jesus Christ. Guys, I gotta go watch the Nets game. I gotta go watch it.
Second half. All right, gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of the game. This is probably the last show we're ever going to do. Coach TJ, I'm glad you were on for our final show. King Michael, thank you for putting us in this position. This is a genius. Wrapping up legit fantasy basketball forever.
They're bad at math too, Kev.